So I think like the bigger question, because you have like these high standards for your man, right? Mm-hmm. What are you prepared to offer him?
Well, myself.
But like, well, what do you think that you, okay.
Man, I've seen that clip like a few times. I didn't think that I would laugh again. For some reason, silence, it just tickles me. And then the woman, like, who's asked the question, who's like, gets that meaningless answer, is like flabbergasted. Well, I mean, like, okay, I guarantee for this woman here, it's the first time in her life that she's ever thought about it. Like, what would I have to offer a man? And that's why she's completely speechless. She doesn't know what to say. It's like the question broke her brain. You know, she's like, yeah, like I have high standards for men. He has to be this. He has to do this. So you ask her, so what are you willing to offer him in return? And it's like an error message in her brain. She doesn't understand. It doesn't compute. She's like, I'm a woman. I'm perfect. What is the question? What do you mean? I'm laughing, but in truth, the psychology behind it is actually pretty dark. This is what it reveals, is that for women, they believe themselves to be up here as a just default, like de facto, like I'm a woman, I'm amazing. But, you know, for a man, he has to, you know, earn his way up to being her equal, to be worthy of her. He has to be this, he has to do this, he has to perform in this way. And only then is, you know, he worthy of being in the same, you know, sentence as a woman. It's pretty dark, and the more I'm going to explain here, the worse it's going to seem. In this video, I'm going to explain relationships in a way that you've probably never heard before, but once you understand it, you're going to see why she had complete silence at being asked that question. And first of all, don't think for a moment that this woman is rare or some kind of exception. That silence that you saw, her being speechless, that's what most women are going to respond with. I encourage you to go and try this out. Ask the women in your life. First, ask them, what does a man need to be, or what does a man need to do in order to be your partner, to be worthy of you? And then, you know, sit patiently while you listen to a very long list. Oh, he needs to be like this. He needs to be like this. He needs to have achieved this. He needs to be doing this. And, you know, if he fulfills all those criteria, then yeah, now I'll be with him, you know? And then, just like the interviewer asked this woman, ask her in all sincerity what she's going to offer a man in return. Be prepared for the same speechless response, as women will not know what to say. That silence is actually deeply revealing of just how much sexism exists in our culture towards men. And perhaps worse than that, worse than the existence of that sexism, is just how unconscious women are of their own sexism. What do I mean by that? Okay. Let's start with the basics. Let me tell you something that maybe nobody's ever told you before, which is that romantic love is transactional. Anybody who is expecting their partner to love them unconditionally, to just love them no matter what, feels that way because they were not properly loved by their own parents. They have a frozen emotional need, and so they turn their partner into a surrogate parent and then try and fix their childhood issues by shaming their partner for not loving them unconditionally. And yes, it is exactly as messed up as it sounds, turning your romantic partner into a surrogate parent. It's incredibly toxic, it's codependent, and in time, it will inevitably become abusive. Because at a core level, it's trying to judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree. The love of a romantic relationship was never meant to be the same kind of love that you see in a parent-child relationship. A good mother does love her child unconditionally, at least for the early years. And it's been well established that children do need that. That meets a developmental need that they have. But as they get older, they mature, they grow up, they move on. Adults who are raised by healthy, well-adjusted parents don't crave unconditional love in their romantic relationships because they understand that was a need they had when they were a toddler. They don't need that as an adult. They understand that romantic love is different in substance because romantic love is transactional in its nature. It has to be because romantic love is voluntary. Nobody's forcing you to become someone's boyfriend or girlfriend, and it doesn't make sense to voluntarily spend your life with somebody unless you are selfishly receiving a benefit. Men and women in romantic relationships trade with each other. I'll bring this to the relationship if you bring that to the relationship. I need you to bring a little bit more of that, but if you do, I'm prepared to bring a little bit more of this. And if we both think that we're getting a good deal, then we'll go ahead with the relationship and it will serve both of our interests. Modern women like this one have a 50% understanding of that. She understands on her end that it makes no sense for her to be in a relationship with a man unless he's bringing some tangible improvements to her life. In order for her to commit, she needs to know that it's selfishly going to be in her best interest to be with him. That part she understands. She's got that 50% absolutely down. But the missing 50% is where she is meant to serve her husband and his needs. When you ask modern women, what are you going to do to improve the life of the man that you're with? What are you going to bring to the table? What are you going to offer him? That's where you get that error message where it's like, it doesn't compute. This question makes no sense. I'm the woman. I'm meant to receive.